Hey Danny, it's Kevin Wall from Fulfilled Purpose, and I am so excited to have made it through the application round of the position for your executive assistant for Firepole marketing. And I'm so glad to be here on the next round, which is this video submission, explaining about who I am, introducing myself, what interested me about this position and why I think it would be a good fit, and then of course answering that all-important prioritization question and how I would handle the situation that you posed. So let me start off by explaining a little bit about who I am. I'm a husband of one, father of two. My wife Nikki and I have been married for about 15 years. We live in central New York, outside of Syracuse, just a few short hours away from Montreal. We have two children. Our daughter is 11, going on 16, and our son is 8, going on insane. They're both great kids, very active, very smart kids, love being their dad, and love taking part in their lives and all the different activities that they have going on. So the next question is really, what interested me about this position and why do I think I'm a good fit? So what really caught my attention was the diversity of skills that you were really looking for in an executive assistant. You were looking from one end, the logistical, get it done side. From the other end is that communication and kind of soft skill, being able to interact with people on a daily basis. And really my strong point is encompassing those two ends of the spectrum. It's something I've done my entire life, is that, I'm the type of person that if it needs to get done, I get it done. I don't ask questions, I just make it happen. It's one of those qualities that I think came from, my father, who was the oldest of 6 boys. My grandfather passed away when my father was 14 years old, and he immediately had to go to work and support the family. So I think there's some genetic disposition in that, and just getting it done and making it happen. On the other side, I'm very approachable and love interacting with people. It drives my family nuts, but I make friends in the grocery store, waiting in the checkout line. So, I'm always talking to people, I'm always engaging, I'm always interested in who they are and connecting with them on a deeper, more personal level. So that brings us to the next question, and how would I prioritize those 5 tasks? And to help me with that, I drew a little diagram of my house, so bear with me a moment here. So this is my house. It's not quite to scale, but it's pretty darn close, okay? So really when we look at this question, it poses an interesting challenge, and I love the fact that you asked it in the way you did, because these 5 things, depending on the situation, really determine, how we will approach, prioritizing. And I think it's really great that you came up with these 5 different situations going on. Now, you'll notice here that my strategy to approach this situation would be to become a SAP. And I'll explain what that means based on these situations. So the first thing I would do is I would stop. And the reason I say that I would stop is that depending on the situation, each one of these can be the number one priority, right? So for example, the baby crying. I have children of my own. Having children of my own, I know that there are a number of different types of cries. There's the, pick me up cry, there's the change my diaper, there's I'm tired, I'm hungry, I just hurt myself. There are so many different cries, and I've learned, having kids for 11 years, to really just stop and listen. What are they really communicating when they're crying? And as they get older, it really doesn't change. They still have those whines and cries, and you have to be able to determine, do I need to address this situation, or is it going to fix itself? So the first thing I would do is stop and really understand, when these 5 things are all happening at once, what is the most important aspect that I need to address initially? And that's where we come to the A, and that is assess. So I would assess the situation and say, okay, what takes priority? What is the most important thing that I need to do right now? And I imagine in your daily life that's something that you probably employ as well, in determining, okay, I have a million things I have to do. What's the most important thing? What's going to move the needle and bring me closer to where I want to be? So when we look at this situation, the next thing to do is assess and understand, what's going to either cause the most damage or what's going to cause the most gain. And the third thing I would do is then, once I've stopped and assessed, I would perform. And at that point, that's when you make the decision. You need to quickly act and do that first thing. And that's one thing that I always try to do. In my daily life, I manage a performance coaching business called Fulfilled Purpose, where I'm in the early stages. I'm about 2 months in, and I've done this for about 7 years, but I've never actively done it as a business. I've always had people reactively come to me and ask advice, and now I'm in the position where I'm proactively going out and finding people. So the question I ask myself every day is, how can I go out and find people that I can help move the needle in their lives? So stop, assess, and perform. So that said, how would I address these problems? Now, the phone is ringing. Phones have a funny thing that if you don't answer them, there's a thing called voicemail, and it'll go to voicemail. So I can't say that that's number one. The baby is crying. Now, the babies are helpless and they need things, but again, once you stop and assess, you can determine, is this a cry that is something I need to address right now because they just fell and hurt themselves, or is it something that they can wait for just a moment while I handle something else? The doorbell's ringing. More than likely, it's not someone that I necessarily want to see, but in a situation where maybe it's a delivery that I was waiting for that I'm very eager to get, I might handle that one first. It's starting to rain and I have clothes outside. Well, process of elimination, I'm going to say number 4 is not the first thing I'm going to do. And the reason why is that if I have clothes hanging up outside, it's because they were wet and they're drying. So the rain isn't going to make them any less wet, right? So, I mean, they're already wet. The rain's not going to change anything. So that's going to be not the first thing. And actually, that's probably going to be the very last thing I do. Okay? So I'll start from the end. The tap in the sink was left open and the kitchen sink is overflowing. Now, when I stopped and I assessed the situation, that's not going to change if I don't do anything about it. The water is going to continue to flow and the mess is going to be larger. So I'll actually go to the beginning, and that's actually going to be the first thing I address because I'm going to stop the water from flowing, right? I'm not going to clean up the mess because the mess isn't going to change if I stop the bleeding now, if you will. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the kitchen, I'm going to shut off the water, okay? So we can cross this out, we can cross this out. Now, the phone is ringing, the baby is crying, the doorbell is also ringing. So here's the situation. Now, my phone, at most times, is plugged in right about there, okay? Worst case scenario, it's going to be in my office right about there, all right? Now, assuming the baby is not at the other end of the house because I'm downstairs, the baby is likely going to be somewhere here, and the front door is here. Now, here's what I can do. I can check the baby, pick the baby up. I can then answer the phone, and then go to the door. So, we have 2, 3, and 4. So to answer your question, what I would do, shut off the water, pick up the baby, answer the phone, and go to the door. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Last, once everything else is handled, I'm going to go and I'm going to actually take the clothes inside because they're already wet. It's not going to make anything worse. So that's the answer to my question, or your question I should say. I hope that was informative. I hope that was helpful and it was what you were looking for. I look forward to the next stage in the process, and I look forward to hearing back from you soon, Danny. I hope you and your beautiful wife are doing well, and we get to chat real soon. Thanks so much.